specifically separated earthquake insurance from the homeowner's policy. So absolutely separate, but wanted it to be available to California homeowners. And so they wrote into this mandatory offer law that if you write a homeowner's policy in California, you must offer earthquake insurance. Doesn't have to be accepted by the homeowner, but it must be offered. So almost 40 some odd percent of Californians insured in 1994 when the magnitude 6.7 Northridge earthquake struck. $40 billion in damage, half of that residential, half of that insured. They lost their shirts. Modeling was at its infancy. I mean, we really didn't even have, we had no computers on our desks then. And along comes this earthquake where they are going to stop writing insurance policies. So it's a huge insurance catastrophe as well as a lending and mortgage catastrophe in California. So the legislature stepped in again and created this publicly managed, privately financed, not-for-profit provider of residential earthquake insurance. We report to a public board, the 3 elected officials, governor, insurance commissioner, state treasurer, their designees, of course, a member who represents the assembly speaker and the Senate rules chair. But we are privately financed, not part of the state budget, privately financed by our participating insurers. I'll show you who they are in a second, but privately financed by our policyholders, predominantly by their premiums, with a mission to educate, mitigate, and insure. So there are our participating insurers. We do not sell the earthquake insurance policy. We write the insurance policy. But, for example, my husband and I live right next to the Hayward Fault. We have a State Farm policy. State Farm sold us the CEA policy, but we didn't recreate another insurance industry or institution. State Farm will manage my policy in terms of if I have any adjustments, and also would do the claim adjustment in the event of an earthquake. We would then get a CEA check. So that's who the CEA is. And if you're interested in more about the CEA earthquake, California Earthquake Authority will rise to the top if you type in earthquake insurance on your computer. But lots of information, including a premium calculator. And you can calculate the premium that would be offered to anyone who has one of these participating insurers. They must have a companion policy with these insurers. And we would offer them the quote that we would show you. Tremendous financial capacity at the CEA, $19.8 billion, $6+ billion in capital. Reinsurance is insurance for insurance companies that comes up to $19.8 billion. But from day one of these capital reserves, we have been required to provide 5% of investment income, which is now about $5 million, which is our cap. So $5 million going into a loss mitigation fund to fund mitigation, and not just for policyholders, although we do definitely have programs for policyholders. This was intended for all Californians, and that is the amazing job that I stepped into in 2011. So to tell you what we're doing in that arena, let's just start with some terms here. Risk is hazard, vulnerability, exposure. Hazard, location. California is earthquake country. Vulnerability, the age of the house, configuration, etc. Exposure, well, to the state of California, I consider my purview to the exposure to be all of California. Of course, to an individual homeowner, it is the single most expensive thing that they will ever purchase. It's their home. It's, and home, of course, has these amazing connotations to all of us. So exposure, as I said, to us, to all of us here who are serving on behalf of California, is the entire state. But to that individual homeowner, it is their home. So hazard, surface faulting, that's when the fault is right underneath your structure. Ground shaking, the most important component. Landslide, of course, liquefaction, all kinds of things. Tsunami, we don't have quite the risk here because we don't have the subduction fault off of our coast, but we certainly have seen tsunami damage. California is home to 2/3 of our nation's earthquake risk. Alaska has more earthquakes, we have more people, and we've strategically placed them along the San Andreas fault zone. You can see that red band there is the San Andreas, and all of the faults either side. Not a lot of population out here in this zone, but we certainly saw out here the Ridgefield earthquake in 2019. Most Californians live within 30 miles of an active fault. So once again, earthquake country. And as I said, for those of us for whom the entire state is our purview, is our responsibility, there's a 99% chance of one or more magnitude 6.7, that's that Northridge earthquake, or greater earthquake striking California in the next 30 years. So I just consider this earthquake country with a near certainty of a very damaging earthquake happening somewhere in my purview in the next 30 years. Talk a little bit about that location. We talk about the San Francisco earthquake. It was really the Northern California earthquake. You can see that the strong shaking out through Vacaville, and maybe even enough shaking out in the western parts of Sacramento Valley to knock unreinforced masonry and poorly constructed older structures off of their foundations. Look at the 250 miles of fault rupture, the amount of property in California that was affected. These are the kinds of mega earthquakes, but of course the ones that happen at magnitude 6.7 are actually more local. And so what do they do? Well, one of the things they do is they pick on the poorly constructed structures or structures that are not well anchored. And we know that there are older homes with known vulnerabilities. We did a study called ATC 110 that's going to be published as FEMA P1100 as a code that identified cripple wall houses, those crawl space houses, houses with lots of open space on that lower floor, that living space over garage. This is the single family soft story. Of course, hillside houses, fortunately not as prominent, and then unreinforced masonry chimneys. So we started with the cripple wall house as our top priority because we estimate there are over 1 million of these in areas of high hazard. FEMA P11 is going through the ANSI process, which is a process to take it from pre-standard to standard. And what we want to do is to have this adopted into the code because it now has these great plan sets, pre-engineered sets that can be used by homeowners and contractors without an engineered design. It's pre-engineered, makes it much more affordable for that cripple wall, living space over garage, and chimney retrofit. Hillside still needs an engineer. So cripple wall, this is what we focused on because of the number of them. A cripple wall is simply a crawl space wall. Those short wood stud walls that support that first floor. Examples from Napa. Here, egress is obviously blocked when this house came off its foundation. Gas lines severed. Really lucky there wasn't a fire. Obviously, someone with any kind of mobility issues would have had great difficulty getting out of this house safely. We also find that in many cases, houses in socially vulnerable communities may be disproportionately affected because maintenance has been deferred. This house was literally resting on a car that was adjacent to it. So what have we done? California Residential Mitigation Program is jointly managed by Cal OES and CEA. I'm so proud to say that Lori Nazura and Alex Powell, who are on this call, are our board members representing Cal OES. We have 2 board members representing the CEA. We started in 2013 and 2014. We did 9 houses. We've now done over 16,500 houses. When I say done, what does that mean? We provide grants of up to $3,000 for a retrofit of that cripple wall crawl space vulnerability. In selected zip codes, we started in 4 zip codes. We're now in over 280, I think. I get the numbers mixed up, but we're literally in roughly 300 zip codes and 200 and something cities. So really great coverage of the state now. Our retrofit averages about $5,200 in California, more expensive in the San Francisco Bay Area. And here is that retrofit. We're under the house in the crawl space, putting in anchor bolts between the wood part of the house and the concrete, plywood with vent holes here, clipping it to the top. These are shear walls. I know you've all heard that phrase. Once again, about $5,200 statewide, more expensive in the Bay Area. Takes about 2 days for a contractor to do the work. When you do it on a short wall, you come in from the side with these foundation plates. They're the same as an anchor bolt. And then, of course, many houses don't have those short cripple walls, but still require new anchor bolts and new clips. So there's the retrofit, 2 to 3 days under the house. Hardest thing they'll do is to get a contractor to answer the phone. Obviously, we know that. But we have a contractor directory and an engineering directory for homeowners to make it easy for them. We've also done a study, and this is a very important study. We did it with peer universities and researchers and engineers across the state of California who analyzed what is the reduction in damage for that EBB retrofit. And it's very exciting. Based on a $200 per square foot replacement cost, they did scenarios, which are not earthquakes that happen, but ones that could happen, kind of the design base, what we design new buildings for, that earthquake. Let's take San Francisco magnitude 7, that would be on the San Andreas Fault. The house that does better is the stucco 1-story house, and we've got here like we're about $60,000. And then for the worst performing houses, the 2-story wood-sided house, we're up here close to $200,000. But let's be very careful here. $200 per square foot replacement cost in California is off by a factor or 2 or 3. We did this purposefully so that you could do that scaling up. So So now we're talking about, like 150,000 to maybe as much as $500,000 in reduction in damage for the house for that $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 retrofit. And so many numbers. And we just received through the FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant Program through Cal OES $80 million to put into that program, which will more than double the number of houses we've done. It's so exciting. Introduced a supplementary grant that will pay nearly all of the cost for most of the people who apply, who are able to show their household income is low to moderate income. And we had a third of our registrants in the last program state that they believe they will qualify for that low income supplementary grant. So great success. Many thanks to our partners, Cal OES. Our next program also has received funding. It's a pilot, so it's $5 million for that living space over garage soft story. Just to point out who created this soft story, we did. These houses, if you look at a picture of them after 1906, survived the earthquake. They didn't have garages, no garage doors down on there on this level. They had walls down there, maybe storage, maybe that's where the servants lived. But we introduced the automobile, we introduced the car, we introduced the garage, and that creates the soft story. We saw these damaged in the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake. Look at every single modern earthquake. And unfortunately, you'll find this condition up to houses constructed by 2000. So this is our next property that we're going after, vulnerability. And this is how you fix it. You come in here and you put in a new foundation near your garage door. You put in a new steel column that's cantilevered up, and it grabs onto a beam that holds onto this top floor. You put plywood around the walls, and you have now put in elements that higher probability this house is going to stay on its foundation, higher probability this family is able to shelter at home. Habitability was our goal with these documents and with these programs. There's that EBB supplementary grant. I just wanted to remind you that almost 100% of the funds for most of the people in this program will be provided. We're very excited that this is already underway, and we'll be able to report back on its success, I'm sure of its success, very soon. Finally, the board amended the JPA agreement to include multifamily soft story. Our purview is residential earthquakes, and there's really not a definite line between single story and multifamily. It's somewhere around that 4 to 5 units in a building. And so we went after some BRIC funding, which is a FEMA program, to create a pilot program for multifamily soft stories. As a reminder, devastating damage. These are partial to full collapse potential buildings. This was the Northridge Meadows apartment. There were living spaces on the first floor, and that's why the depths were so high in this building. This is what we need to prevent. Cities are doing it all over the state. Mandatory ordinances in Los Angeles and San Francisco. We're not bringing mandatory ordinances, we're bringing funding. And this is the retrofit. You come out here, and the work is all done on the first floor. Steel frame, new foundations. You put either braces or plywood on the other walls. A little bit obviously more expensive, maybe $5,000 to $10,000 per unit, but life-saving. And you just think about our housing issues that we have in California, saving housing. So we're here to create a resilient California. We know that our grant programs are not open all the time, so we created a website called strengthenmyhouse.com. It has all of the information about single-family dwellings that I just presented to you in very, very readable and clear information. They can find out as much as they want. They can dip their toe, or they can go diving into this information, and it gives them the information, the tools, the contract resources that they need to make important decisions, educated decisions on resiliency for their living condition. So thank you so very much. That's what we're doing. We're proud to do it. One last thing for the insurance side of the house. If you do that earthquake brace and bolt retrofit, you can go back to your insurance company. If it's the CEA, we'll provide up to a 20% discount on your insurance premium for that work. So hand in hand, this company is increasing resilience every day. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maffei. Very interesting, very clear, and easy to understand. And I only wish the entire population of the state of California had been watching today, because maybe they would motivate more of these retrofits to occur. Commissioners, any questions for Ms. Maffei?
Am I still sharing? I'm trying to get it off. Stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Yeah, any questions? And I just wanted to say to all of you, because I know you represent different groups, I am happy to do that. Ms. Silva, I am happy to go out and talk to groups. I do that 2 to 3 a week. We're happy to share. As I said, we want them to make an educated decision about their hazard, their risk, their vulnerability, and we're here to provide that information. So happy to help in any way.
Thank you.
Maybe a quick question. This is
Yes,
Commissioner.
Commissioner Tran, thank you. I was hoping you would have a question since you represent the insurance industry.
Yeah, I'm curious on the couple of the fundings you mentioned from FEMA. Are those seed fund or are those permanent fund? The reason
So
I asked that question is I'm pushing pretty hard at the federal insurance level. I think I have a scheduled meeting with the assistant director that runs the resilient program at FEMA on the insurance side, and that's one of the angle I'm trying to get to understand if there are more funding. So I'm just curious from your end on this side asking for it, how that process went.
We were able to open these programs because of the loss mitigation fund. So we're this unique entity that a not-for-profit entity. The loss mitigation fund started, so that's who pays the salaries and the expenses of the team at the CEA who's doing the mitigation program for all Californians. So that goes back to that mandatory offer that said, you must offer insurance, that kept insurance in town when Northridge earthquake happened. So unique. When we talk to other states, we say, we don't know if you could have an entity like us without that mandatory offer. Yeah. So Loss Mitigation Fund was our seed. The first year we funded entirely out of that fund. We did first 8, then 600. We got $3 million for 2 years in a row from the state of California. And then we were able to get FEMA funding. And now, as you see, with 80 million, so it's really leveraging that loss mitigation funding to get other sources of funding. And I will tell you, we apply for every single FEMA grant, and we are here, we're shovel ready. We have, as I said, this enormous demand and a stand at the ready to really to accept funding from a variety of different ways. I will tell you that the disappointment to me is that FEMA funding is Stafford Act. It is not taxable. State of California got rid of the taxability at for any state income tax. We had a bill that got as far as the Build Back Better, and of course we all know what happened to that. So it's still alive in the federal government in multi-hazard. We certainly hope that it's passed because it's heartbreaking to have to send out that 1099 at the end of the year if we're using state funding or our funding.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question, please.
Commissioner Suez.
So this program is available for mostly residential homes. You did mention multi-unit family residential.
Yes.
Is there any potential to expand the program to also include in the future commercial properties? Or, yes, go ahead.
Well, so obviously to do single family residential was right smack in our wheelhouse because that is what we insure. We do not insure commercial properties. So multifamily was stepping a little bit outside of what we insure, but was very definitely within the kind of the purview of an entity that's looking at residential resilience. So that's why we moved to the multifamily. I think it would take direction from our board. Once again, we have the CEA board, as I showed you, the elected officials, and then we would have the CRMP board. If we were directed to do so, the classic structure that would then be included is, I always say San Francisco, right? You've got commercial on the first floor, you've got maybe 4 units on the second floor. That would be considered a commercial structure and not multifamily right now. So if directed by our board, technically we could do it. We can handle, because to a structural engineer, it's just a building, regardless of what you have inside. But yes. Currently that's not the direction of our boards.
But the purpose of my question, because later in the meeting, we will be discussing a draft of the Commercial Property Owner's Guide to Earthquake Safety. And in it, we mentioned that guide is for commercial properties, business, and any multi-family 5 units or more. And I think it will be prudent to put a reference in that guide to the California Earthquake Authority and your programs. Your presentation is very impressive, and I think it complements the guide that staff and the commission has been working on. So if you're gonna stick around,
I'll try.
patient,
I may have to go away and come back. I do want to
yes,
just clarify that when I use the terms residential and commercial, I'm using really now the insurance industry's definition, and that is, 1 to 4 is single family and 5 and above is multifamily. And then within that
yes,
commercial, obviously there are multifunction buildings that include both retail and residential. So I hope that clarifies.
yes, it
Okay.
does. But I mean, but you have lots of useful information. It helps people, most people, if they have commercial, they also have a house they live in California. So, like the
Exactly.
information is so useful and it complements each other. And that's how, like the staff and Commissioner Silva have been working on this guide for a while. And
Yeah.
today we're gonna see it, and hopefully, we can finalize it in the next,
Yeah.
maybe this meeting,
Well,
by next meeting, so.
Thank you,
I'm
Commissioner.
glad you said that. Just really quickly, the very sophisticated work has gone on for, like the big tech companies to make their headquarters, resilient and maybe even stand in the event of an earthquake without any disruption. And yet all of those workers used to drive home to their homes. Now they're working from their homes. And so they go home to these pre-1940 houses that need to be braced. So you're absolutely right. This is all blended together.
Yes, thank you so much.
Commissioner Gardens.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. It was a very, very interesting presentation. I appreciate it. I was wondering if the earthquake insurance having the earthquake insurance is tied to being able to access the grant funds for retrofit for residences.
No, so our program was intended for all Californians. So our earthquake brace and bolt and ESS programs would not require that you be insured. I will tell you that a large percentage of the folks that come after the grants are insured. I think those people may tend to be more tuned into, earthquake vulnerability and resilience. But it is not a component. The idea was to offer it to all Californians. And of course, we're in certain zip codes because those are the areas of highest hazard.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And your information will be like if we wanted to reach out to you from my city, for example, wanted to reach out to you to do a presentation. I'm in Rio Del in Northern California. Is that something that you would be open to, and we'd be able to reach out to you?
Absolutely.
We'll have your information.
With pleasure. With pleasure.
Thank you.
Other questions? I had a couple. Let me ask my first one. I think all of the commissioners that have asked questions at this point have alluded to how is the Earthquake Authority promoting this information and the availability of the grants and reaching the broad community across California of homeowners and also renters who need to encourage their landlords to do upgrades. Yes.
So we constantly have information, of course, on our websites, and I'm constantly involved in, like with you, as I said, as many as 2 to 3 per week. However, when we really zoom in is during registration period, because that's when we need people to sign up. And the nice thing is that throughout the year, when I'm giving a presentation like this, I'll say, hey, I'm really sorry you can't register right now, but give us your email and we'll let you know when we open. And that has become one of the best sources, because right there, we give them an email, we say, hey, we're open in your neighborhood, they apply. And then folks that can't do it one year, life gets in the way. We already have their email. We let them know the next year. We find that really works, that people are coming back the next year. And we use commercial modeling that we open an RFP and we select and they assist. Now that we're in so many areas, we can use all kinds of different, media outlets. We have press conferences, radio, TV, print, not so much of that anymore, social media. And now we're finding in the areas that we've been in now for 8 years, people hear about it from their friends, their neighbors, their colleagues, which is the very best kind of promotion. And then all the list servers, like the Berkeley Parents Group or the Next Door, things like that can be fantastic as well. Because once again, then they're typically hearing about it from someone who's gone through the program and is now our advocate. So that's what we want. We want a world of advocates.
Thank you. Commissioner Babbitt, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you very, oh, there we go. Thank you very much. Is the program available statewide?
Not quite statewide. We are up in Humboldt County. We are as far north as Eureka, huge swaths of the Bay Area, not all the way through Los Angeles. Los Angeles is so darn big, we had to treat it differently. Out in San Bernardino, once again, we created a list that was based on hazard and the number of pre-1940 houses, and we prioritized that list. We started at 1, and when we hit a zip code that's in a city other than LA, we go all out into that city. LA was just too big for that. So LA, we've been adding, 5, 6, 7 zip codes every year. And those zip codes are on earthquakebracebolt.com. People can put their zip code in or hunt for theirs. And so you'll find that we're in large areas, predominantly the high seismic areas.
And does it go by city or does it go by county?
So you have to be in our zip code. What we found is that city, county, those kinds of things are little wavy gravy, but somebody's zip code is very definite. And but once again, we will look up, like when the zip code comes up on our list that's in a city, like San Francisco, we brought in the entire city of San Francisco because that's much easier on marketing, on the building department, and on homeowners. That no, we're just in this little zip code didn't work. We found very quickly, so now we'll go to the whole city. But the zip codes are comprehensive on our website.
And I asked because I think in the past where I live was not available.
Where are you?
Up in Sonoma.
Sonoma County. So once again, the hard thing is when I bring in a city and a county, and the one right next to it is not there yet. That's likely they have pretty close to the same hazard, but what they do is they have maybe newer construction. And so what we find though is that we're like an amoeba. We really do grow like an amoeba. So you might check back in to see if your community's in.
Thank you.
And with this 80 million, we will be adding in our next registration a significant number of zip codes.
Other questions?
What, if I could, Chairman Silva, I just wondered when the open period is, when the registration timeframe is.
Right. So my managing director, Andy Evertson, is on the phone, and she can wave or ping me. But essentially, with the 80 million, we did have a waiting list from the last program. We were operating on 24 million from hazard mitigation grants. And so we're putting that group in now. So Andy, we're thinking end of the year, I believe. For both ESS and the new EBB?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking we might even come in the third quarter now after looking at the last couple days. So
right. And then the ESS for soft story is probably more likely end of the year.
Correct.
Right. And then multifamily, that BRIC program, we will hear about a short list in the summer. So that one would definitely not be in 2022.
Correct.
I had one question about the source of the funding. It's always a challenge to secure these large amounts of money. Is there any chance that the infrastructure bill that was passed by Congress in November has any pockets of money that could be applicable to this?
Well, it's interesting because one of the issues that local jurisdictions have a problem with is coming up with the seed money. We were fortunate enough this loss mitigation fund, and starting with a pilot as we did, was able to be the seed money. And so any kind of really state funding can be that seed money to folks. Once again, we stand able legally to receive funding from really any source. And we have an experience with the CEA's loss mitigation fund, once again, state general fund, and now FEMA funds. There's that taxability issue where FEMA funding, we don't have to send a 1099. So that's the only deterrent to using state funding is that you do have to send that 1099.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. Any final questions from commissioners? Then I am going to say thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you for your work. And I hope all of us now realize that we can help our communities even more with programs like
Wonderful. Wonderful. And we, as I said, we stand at the ready to assist you in as little or as much as you'd like to be involved with us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy.
The next item on the agenda is Cal OES International Affairs role and state travel security protocols. I just want to go anywhere. I don't want any protocols, does it? Helen Lopez from the Office of International Affairs and Travel Coordination from Cal OAS is going to make the presentation. And good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Commissioner. I'm doing fine, a little nervous. I'm not used to doing presentations. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I just wanted to say thank you, Helen, for being here, but I just wanted to give a little quick blurb to the commission as to why it's important that we have you here today. As some of the older commissioners know, and this may be new for some of the newer commissioners, the commission periodically interacts with international delegates. Just recently, we had a delegation from Japan, and this is something that we've done, yearly. And now that we are a department within Cal OES, I think it's very important that we understand the policies and procedures of interacting with international delegates through Cal OES, and why we should be aware of policies and procedures. And I had met with Helen at a staff level, and she's a wealth of knowledge, and I figured this is perfect timing for her and her team to present the commission on how interaction with international delegates kind of move through Cal OES. So Helen, thank you.
Thank you, Selena. Good morning, everybody, commissioners, and Lori and other colleagues. First of all, just, I'm not used to presenting via Zoom and Teams and this technology, so bear with me. I believe that Tanya is going to help me with the whole presentation. Good to be here. Thank you for having me. And as Selena said, I will give you a high-level overview of our International Affairs Office and our role, followed by our staff who will present on why the vetting process. So, one of our roles here at this office is to coordinate all international delegation visits to Cal OES. Over the years, you've seen all the disasters that we have experienced, wildfires, drought, and COVID. And so the world is watching us, how California responds to all types of disasters. And I believe that, we effectively do respond to disasters. So many countries want to come and visit with our director, our subject matter experts. And so our role is to coordinate those delegations. So these delegations come because they want to meet with the director. They want to meet with subject matter experts to share best practices, lessons learned, gaps on emergency management, California mutual aid, cybersecurity, among other disciplines. And also we work on future collaboration opportunities for training or exchange of subject matter experts from both countries. Since 2018, since we started tracking the delegates, we have coordinated over 60 delegations from all over the world: Mexico, Chile, Australia, Germany. We recently had a delegation from Costa Rica, sponsored by USAID in partnership with Miyamoto Internationals, where we shared information, addressed many technical questions, and just kind of mutually exchange how we respond to all types of disasters. So one of the responsibilities, and we ask the Cal OES programs, is that if there's a request for a delegation to meet with your organization, one of you, then refer them to our office. We will in turn work with the program. We will work with the international organization and work with our State Threat Assessment Center for the vetting process. Some of the steps is that we have them complete the visitor request form, which obtains each delegate's biographical data, a copy of their passport, and we forward this to our State Threat Assessment Center for vetting. We need to ensure who's visiting our facility, and not only just our facility, this is a policy statewide for all state agencies. So in turn, we also develop the agenda in coordination with the program and international organization. We bring in our subject matter experts so that we're able to have the best team to address their questions and present the awesome work that Cal OES does in responding to disasters. Our responsibility is also to inform our executive office of these visits, sometimes the governor's office, so that we can determine whether, our director should also meet with these delegations. Sometimes we've had ministers at his level, and in order to make it, a fruitful visit, we believe that it's important that they meet together. So why do we capture all this information? We capture for our records to report it also to the International Trade and Development Committee. Our director is a council member of the International Trade and Development Committee that is chaired by the Lieutenant Governor, the Director of GOBIZ, and the Governor's Office. This committee was created so that the state agencies have a better strategic coordination of all international efforts and affairs. And so that we know what each agency is doing in regards to international affairs. The director is a member. He meets, the committee meets quarterly. And so all of these delegations that visit and the initiatives, we report it out to that committee. And also, to facilitate safe and secure international delegation visits, we coordinate with our State Threat Assessment Center, who will give you a more in-depth presentation on the vetting process. We also coordinate all international travel for the director. He's participated on many delegation visits to Chile. We were in the process of doing Australia back in, I want to say 2018, but the wildfires that happened here just prevented that trip. But we coordinate the binational meetings. We do his advanced briefs, and we're in contact with the governmental organizations that we're going to be visiting in those countries. We coordinate with the governor's office and the lieutenant governors on any international trade missions. We had two, I believe sometime back in, my dates are missing me, but to Mexico. Another responsibility of our office is that we develop and negotiate binational memorandums of understanding with various countries. Currently, we have 3 MOUs, one with the Aga Khan Development Network, which is a very neat organization. They work in the Middle East. They enhance quality of life, education, and emergency response. We've had a 10-year relationship with them where we've had a team of them be here at our facility and that we provide them training. We exchange information. Right now, we are providing some training material for tabletop exercise at the executive level. Our team is working directly with them. We also have an MOU with Chile. We've had over I want to say a 10-year, 12 relationship with Chile, where we have fostered many initiatives. We've had people from their highest level come here to California. The counterpart of Director Gallarducci and CAL FIRE came to visit, some of the wildfires that were taking place, where the teams provided them how we respond to that disaster, the incident command. And so that, those types of relationships that we have with them is that we're mutually exchanging information. We enhance our knowledge as well, and then provide them the ability to see how we respond here. We've had an MOU with Baja California for over, I want to say that's 15 years. And Baja California is our neighbor. And so with them, we share information. If a disaster is happening here along the border, it impacts them. If it's happening on their side of the border, then they're sharing that information, in real time. So these international agreements foster cooperation and a commitment to share best practices, lessons learned, training opportunities, and mutual exchange of technical knowledge and expertise, as well as we identify initiatives that would mutually benefit both countries. Our office also coordinates international mutual aid in partnership with our fire branch, sometimes with CAL FIRE, and of course with the governor's office. And so for us, international mutual aid is neighbor helping neighbor. And in 2020, we coordinated a delegation visit from Israel of over 40 firefighters, where they came here and met with our fire branch, with our director, and then with CAL FIRE, where they were out in the field helping us battle the fires. It was very fruitful and beneficial. I heard from CAL FIRE that they too learned from the firefighters from Israel. We've had a team of Australian firefighters and New Zealand also come to help us fight the battles. And we've had some of our subject matter expert firefighters also go to some of those countries to assist them in combating the fires that have become so devastating. During 2020, just with COVID, we were all in need of PPE. And so we were working directly with over 13 countries from China, trying to secure PPE coming our way. And so we got many PPE to benefit us at the time. And so that in turn was fruitful for us. And we also work with other countries such as Latin America and Mexico, where we have provided them PPE to help them, combat the COVID and help, protect lives. And okay, and so then I think, can you change the next slide, please? And so during disasters, one of our focus and goals is to work with the consular corps, work with CBOs, the vulnerable population, to identify the needs that they may have during a disaster. A lot of times, they don't get all the assistance they need. So with our Listos program, other partners, we've developed informational material that provides them information on how to prepare for a disaster, and those are in 10 languages. And so we've been working with Mexico, the 10 Mexican consulates, El Salvador, Honduras, the Philippines, in providing all of these resources in the 10 languages, always in the effort to be there for the vulnerable population. And just very briefly, I also oversee the Office of Tribal Coordination, and we work with the 109 federally recognized tribes and the non-federally recognized tribes. During disasters, we reach out to identify any unmet needs and work to coordinate and provide those resources to them. We provide grant opportunities. Cal OES has several grants that benefit the tribes. And so we're coordinating and disseminating the information on the grants, working on having webinars so that they could apply and take advantage of these great opportunities. And we consult with them and provide them technical assistance and address any questions that they may have. And so if you have any questions, I'm here to address those. And if not, our staff will provide more of an in-depth presentation on why the vetting process. And if you ever need assistance with coordination, I'm very happy to assist you all with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for our guest? Acting Director, did you have something specific that you wanted us to be aware of so that we're, this was a lot of information about the international operation and how it all works.
No, thank you, Chairwoman Silva. And again, thank you, Helen, for giving us a high-level overview. Again, I think it's very important as a commission within Cal OES that we are very mindful of the policies and procedures when acting with international delegates or just delegates in general. I think it's best practices. I know the commission, we have a communication policy that is in your guys' binders, that if you have communication with other state agencies, departments, and again, international entities, to just make sure that you notify staff, especially myself, so that we can help coordinate messaging. And again, the commission has a have relationships internationally, Japan, Mexico, obviously Commissioner Miyamoto, who is not here, he's actually in India, not as a commissioner, but he is very mindful as well when he travels for his corporation of just keeping us apprised of, where he's at in the world. I know growing up, I watched Where is Carmen Sandiego. I don't know if a lot of you guys know that, but it's this woman that travels all around the world, investigating things. And so when I think about Commissioner Miyamoto, I always feel that he is part of that show that I used to watch as a child. So again, Helen, thank you so much. And, I think moving forward, what I will do is maybe work with Helen and her team to maybe put some type of document together so that kind of outlining her presentation and expectations when and if any of the commissioners, you have to come across a delegation of some sort and how to move forward. So thank you again, Helen.
You're welcome. Thank you. A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. If there are no further questions, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which is actually item number 4, the election of the chair and vice chair. And acting director, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Excuse me, Chairman Silva, we still have a piece of the presentation after Helen with Maddie Baldoni and Olivia Bonatter.
I'm
with
sorry. That was on the side of the piece of paper.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maddie Baldoni. I'm an intelligence analyst with the California State Threat Assessment Center. And Selena, like you just mentioned, we're actually going to dive right into some of our policies and procedures for our travel security program. So we'll give you an idea of, how we implement the program, what type of documents that we'll need from you when you're hosting foreign delegations or when you're providing briefings for your executives that are going abroad. But I'll hand it over to Olivia to start us off today. I'll try and share our presentation. Right, so good morning. So I will be providing a high-level briefing on the counterintelligence threat to California, meaning the threat of foreign adversaries who are attempting to steal from or influence U.S. public or private entities. And then Maddie's going to cover the travel security program, which was created in response to this threat to our state. Just a reminder that our briefing is unclassified or for official use only. So as an overview, we're going to discuss the overall components of the travel security program and the foreign intelligence activity in California, and then our policies and procedures. And for the counterintelligence threat, these conclusions were derived from an internal STAC database examining all federal CI-related indictments, and the travel security, which screens dignitaries entering this state, also provides travel security briefings to state officials while traveling abroad. So as I briefly mentioned, the components of our program are to vet foreign delegations visiting any California state agencies to determine physical or intellectual property risks to those state agencies or personnel, and look for any potential for foreign intelligence collection. And then we also provide all of our state executives who are traveling abroad any briefings to provide a line of defense from crime, terrorism, political violence, counterintelligence, exploitation. And then we also do debriefings once people return from those travel to discuss any security situations that they encountered. And just to confirm, can everyone see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Right, so before we dive into those specifics of the program, we want to provide some context as to why the program exists and highlight what the threat looks like. So overall, California represents a significant portion of counterintelligence related indictments across the country. Based on our analysis, out of 87 foreign intelligence collection cases in the United States, California made up 30 of them from 2020 to 2021, which was 34% of the national total and the highest in the nation. So we credit the large proportion to the size of the state's population and the concentration of tech companies that we have located in our state. We then took a closer look at what's going on at the state internally, and our data draws some interesting conclusions. So in terms of geospatial activity, the greater Los Angeles and San Francisco areas are likely to continue to serve as hotspots for foreign intelligence activity. This is probably due to those areas being significant population centers and having large concentrations of technology, defense, and manufacturing companies working on proprietary technology. So we can see that Chinese-linked foreign intelligence entities were the most active threat actors in both the country and in California. The FBI director, along with other members of the intelligence community, have spoken out about how pervasive the counterintelligence threat is from China, and this particular data point seems to support that assessment. We next found that trusted insiders, meaning people who are non-traditional collectors like researchers, professors, etc., and cyber intrusions were the most used tactics, techniques, and procedures, or TTPs, highlighting just how dangerous foreign intelligence entities with internal access may be. In terms of targeted sectors, information technology and defense were the most sought out, and some examples may include like dual-use technologies, green energy, aerospace, semiconductors, and electronic manufacturing. Lastly, when we looked at the type of collectors foreign intelligence entities were using, we found that in 77% of California cases, threat actors employed non-traditional collectors, like I mentioned, the professors, students, just ordinary citizens, to conduct intelligence operations. This statistic was of particular interest as it relates to our travel security program. So although it is difficult to know the intent behind foreign intelligence activity, in most California-based cases, the threat actors sought a commercial advantage, suggesting widespread economic espionage. Specifically, in 78% of California cases, involved actors who were attempting or successfully stealing proprietary goods, research, or trade secrets. As mentioned in the last slide, we also have seen both non-traditional and traditional actors being utilized, including parts of delegations visiting the United States. For example, there was a 2016 case we looked at in which an individual from China was indicted and charged on conspiracy to steal trade secrets. This perpetrator targeted an agricultural company and manufacturer, and he did so as part of a tour of their facility. The individual basically walked into a field where proprietary seed, GMO seed, was being grown, used his access to steal those seeds with the intention of bringing them back to China to steal the research and development, which was millions of dollars behind the creation of that seed. This example highlights how even just a simple tour may present opportunities for unsuspecting actors to benefit their home country. Next, I'd like to talk about the tactics, techniques, and procedures employed by foreign intelligence entities in California. In most cases, we saw that these entities did not rely on single tactics, but instead used multiple methods. By doing so, they increased their chances of obtaining sensitive information. To give you an example, some of the tactics that were paired together were trusted insider and recruitment and bribery, exports and use of a front company, and for the more traditional actors, illegal agents, influence operations, and surveillance. Moving on, this slide shows the top sectors that were targeted in California. This includes the technology sector, defense, and commercial being the top three. And then next, I want to show a visual breakdown of the three major threat actors conducting intelligence operations in California. As I mentioned, China is the most frequent, and they focus their attention on information technology and defense, and they primarily used trusted insiders and recruitment and bribery. Iran also focused their operations on information technology and defense, mainly targeting products with defense or aerospace applications, and used non-traditional methods and front companies to then export goods outside of the US in violation of sanctions. Lastly, as mentioned, Russian FIEs focused their efforts on finance, commercial, and political targets. So what do these numbers tell us? They support the current threat assessment that states like China, Russia, and Iran are the nation's primary counterintelligence threat. And so with that, I will pass it back to Maddie, who will discuss our travel security program.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so kind of like Olivia talked about, really the reason this program exists is to prevent these types of risks in the state of California. So while, we do see there's huge benefit from collaborating with foreign delegations and foreign countries, we don't want to open ourselves to this risk. And so our program is really meant to prevent that. So I'm going to go into our policies and procedures. So what we will need from you if you're going to host a foreign delegation, and then also if you want us to provide a briefing for your executive that is going to be traveling abroad. So really there's three main steps in our vetting process when a delegation is coming to visit the state of California. We require two things from each delegate. The first is our foreign national screening form, which is featured on the right side of this slide. And Helen mentioned it earlier. This type of biographical information is going to help us vet the delegation. And then we also ask for a passport copy so we can confirm their identity. We ask for these two documents 15 days prior to the visit. So this will give us enough time to fully vet the delegation. The second step in our vetting process is actually going in and vetting the delegation. The staff will conduct an open source scrub on the information that we are given in the form to include research on the individual and the agencies that the delegation is coming from, and any potential open source information regarding potential previous espionage activity or formal charges that may involve their agency or themselves. Second, since the program's inception in 2018, we have maintained a database of all of the foreign delegation visits that we've received and all of the research that we've done on those. So given, we have 4 years worth of data at this point, there was a downturn during COVID, so things are just starting to pick up again. But given the insights that we have from previous delegations, we can use those to inform any risks for current visits. And then lastly, we collaborate with a few of our federal partners to conduct the processing and vetting. So these currently include the FBI, the Department of State's Diplomatic Security Service, and the Department of Homeland Security. So our partners assist by running the delegations against their holdings, and then they will provide us, any valuable information that we may want to know and advise you of before this delegation comes to visit. And then the last step in the vetting process is providing a recommendation to the hosting California state agency. So based on our research and that of our federal partners, we will report any findings back to you. If we do find potential security risks, the staff may recommend moving the meeting to a more neutral location or a more secure location, or potentially canceling the visit altogether. For example, in the past, previous requests to more sensitive locations like laboratories, we have recommended that the venue be changed to a more public setting or a public conference room where all participants can be supervised throughout the entire visit, rather than, opening our lab to, for potential, where somebody can go insert a USB stick and potential malware could be installed on that device. And so, yeah, that's just an example where we might recommend, the meeting be moved to a more neutral location. And then the other function of our travel security program is providing briefings to our California state executives that are traveling abroad to ensure that our officials are prepared. The staff and our cyber partners with the state are available to provide security briefings prior to your travel. We provide threat assessments, which highlight the current threat advisory, the counterintelligence, cybersecurity threats, the crime and safety threat, the terrorism threat, and potential civil unrest threats in the location that you're traveling to. The goal for these briefings is to equip our executives with the best information that they can to make them less susceptible to a foreign intelligence operation. For these, we also ask that these requests are submitted 15 days prior to your travel, so we can prep the briefing and any briefing materials that we will provide you. We also ask that you provide basic travel information, including your itinerary, who's going to be traveling with you, and different locations that you're going to be traveling to. And then lastly, Olivia mentioned this earlier, we are also beginning to practice a debriefing. So if you did encounter any suspicious activity, or anything that you think should be reported, we want to know about that, just for our situational awareness, and so we can advise future travelers that are going to that location of what to expect. And then lastly, the travel security email is included on the bottom of this slide for either delegation visit requests or travel briefing requests. You can send an email to us right here with the documentation requirements that I had mentioned for each of those. And with that, that concludes our presentation today. Our contact information is included up on the screen. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you very much. And I have a question, and then I'll see if other commissioners do as well. Could you clarify on the 15 days? Is that 15 calendar days or 15 business working days?
15 calendar days.
All right, thank you.
Ideal too. So if you have a last minute delegation request, we'd rather have eyes on it than not have eyes on it. So ideally 15 days gives us plenty of time, but realistically, yeah, we'll take just about anything.
Yep.
Well, we want to plan ahead.
Yes, of course.
Other commissioners have questions.
Maybe a quick question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll wait.
Thank you. Maybe a quick question. It wasn't clear and I didn't read all your slide quick enough. The definition of executive, I assume that applies to commissioner and traveling abroad. Is that for the sole purpose of traveling for their role or for any traveling? Just curious.
It's just going to be as part of your role as a commissioner. So just a business. Yep. Personal travel. We're happy to provide you just a quick, travel 101 briefing. But yeah, as this program starts to pick up, we are going to limit it to just official travel.
And it can apply to deputies. Yep. It doesn't just have to be the highest level of the commission. So if you have deputies who are traveling on your behalf or anything like that, we can still provide briefings to them too.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. I just didn't really need to have two briefings, one for my work and one for the commission when I'm traveling for work. So thank you.
Commissioner Sweiss, did you have a question?
Yes, actually, first, thank you for your presentation. I didn't think that you're doing such, tasks or work really. This is very educational for me. And I'm sure you have a lot of coordination, especially here in California with FBI, with customs and border control and so forth. However, my comment is related mostly to earthquake science, earthquake safety. The more we learn from others and the more we share with others, the better, not only for our communities, but for the whole world. No place is immune from earthquakes. And earthquake science has evolved and developed over the years, mostly with, every earthquake, we learn something new. Every time we, interact with others or visit other countries. I've been to Israel, I've been to Turkey, visiting, earthquake damaged areas, or, lecturing on early warning. And this is maybe for us to discuss, and also for you to ask you, is what kind of sensitive information that we as safety commissioners should be aware of that we should not share. Because I think in general, the more we share, the better for us, the more we learn. So maybe, maybe you can give us advice, and also maybe we can have a discussion among ourselves as commissioners on this topic.
Sure. I think our concern is mostly the proprietary information, or the things that have had significant research and development, have had millions of dollars behind them, that a foreign intelligence entity could just co-op and then not have to pay all of that time and money and research in order to have access to. So it's more of a concern of, trade secrets, and then for us, government intelligence. So if there's sensitive information that is pertinent to just California or just the US government, we want to make sure that that is protected. But of course, we're a global citizen. California likes to share information. We love to host delegations. We're constantly learning from the global populace. So there's absolutely a balance.
Thank you. Other commissioners have questions? I don't see any hands raised. So thank you so much for the other part of the presentation that I almost missed. This was the part that was really interesting in addition because of its feel like you're in a spy novel if you think about it. So thank you for the time, and I look forward to any additional information that we will be receiving through our staff on what we need to do as commissioners to be aware and to be cautious, at the same time being open to sharing information.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So Tanya and Selena, is it now time?
Yes, for the election of the chair and vice chair, correct.
So we're going back to item number 4, and I will hand it to the acting director for an introduction.
Okay, I'll just give you a quick overview of the SEC's election of officers process. In 1994, the SEC adopted a policy on elections of officers stating that the SEC shall annually appoint a nominating committee from its membership. All commissioners except the members of the nominating committee shall be eligible for nomination for chair and vice chair. The nominating committee reviews the chair and vice chair applications, conducts interviews, and provides a recommendation to the full committee. In March, at our March 10th meeting, the commission unanimously voted to appoint Commissioner Garnes and Commissioner Kim Lopez as to the nominating committee. Throughout the month of March, applications were submitted from those commissioners that were interested in being the chair and vice chair. In early April, the nominating committee reviewed applications and then conducted interviews. This has been the standard process again for the commission in its election of officers. First, I want to thank the nominating committee for taking the time to assist staff with, moving forward in this process. And so I would like to now introduce Commissioner Garnes, who will speak to the nominations of the chair and vice chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank the applicant. And it is a very detailed application, so you had to really actually take a lot of your time to submit that application. So thank you very much for that. And and then sitting through interviews. So that process too was, it was a lot. So thank you very much. And after doing the interviews and reviewing the applications, we've come to a recommendation, and we would like to nominate Commissioner Silva as chair and Commissioner Splice as vice chair. I believe I would make a motion to accept those nominations. So I make a motion to, Director, do I need to do them separately, or can I do them?
So we have a motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
Second, Rabbit.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Garnes and a second by Commissioner Rabbit. Is there any discussion? Then Secretary Black will call the roll.
Vice Chair Silva,
Aye.
Commissioner Cooley, represented by Nestor Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Claire, represented by Diane Gould.
Aye.
Commissioner Garnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Garodici, represented by Lori Nazara.
Aye.
Commissioner Kim Lopez, I think I didn't see her on there. I don't think she's here with us. Commissioner Rabbit.
Aye.
Commissioner Swayze.
I have a question first. Because I was nominated, do I vote or no?
Yes, you still vote. Yep.
Aye.
Commissioner Tran.
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you to the two members of the nominating committee, Commissioner Garnes and Commissioner Kim Lopez. It's unfortunate that Commissioner Kim Lopez has an emergency in the Southern California region with a wildfire that started yesterday and is now continuing. So I'm sorry she couldn't be here to hear our thanks. Congratulations, Commissioner Swayze. I look forward to working with you. And we will now move to the next item on the agenda, which is an update on our Public Safety Commission projects. Our senior structural engineer is Jawang Connolly, and take it away.
Thank you very much, and congratulations to Chair Silva. Good morning, commissioners. So the work started updating commercial property owners guide to earthquake safety started October last year, and we are very happy to present the final draft for your approval today. And we are 2 months ahead of the schedule because during the time our project team have moved with urgency because, as Janelle mentioned, California is in grave risk of a major earthquake, and our community are not prepared. And we feel a sense of moral obligation to speed up and do the best we can to bring this publication to the hands of the public so they can prepare, take actions before it's too late. So I don't have a presentation to make today, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank our community partners that allow us to outreach, collect valuable feedback, and give us tremendous help and support in this process. So I'd like to thank the researchers with ERI and the general earthquake engineering community provided a very beautiful photos and telling the story, and thank some major structural engineer firms in the West Coast that provide their photos from their reconnaissance trip. And then we outreach to the Small Business Development Center, and CGS and USGS both provided a very good quality photos for us to include it. And also like to thank our OES teammates. Earthquake Early Warning provide the materials for their subject matters. And then Earthquake, Volcano, Tsunami program, we enjoyed very well-informed discussion on non-structural components bracing. And there's a major publication coming that they are preparing. So yeah, we learned a lot through the process. And then like to thank Laurie for connecting us to our subject matters in the recovery. Provided a finance session, and we got a very good information direction from them. And then safety assessment program under OES provided nice photos and for us to consider. And then the procurement team were super. They help us to expedite and put a contract in place within a week with OSP. And then OSP, their graphic design team was super. I believe they did a great job to bring the document the way it is. And then I'd like to thank my predecessor, Fred Turner, for providing the photos and the background information. And then our fearless leader, Richard McCarthy, who unfortunately is not here. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Chair Silva. You brought this document to life. Thank you. and then the subject matter experts review. We really appreciate your input and comments. And then to all your commissioners, your comments, your question through this process made it very clear to the staff that the urgency, the importance of our work, and then most importantly, who are we doing this documents for? So your comments is well received, and thank you for your guidance. And then thank you for the commissioners share your comments before the meeting, so I had a chance to do my research and respond to your comments. I really appreciate the opportunity. So now I'm going to open it to the floor and take your comments and recommendations. And when you feel comfortable, we ask for your approval because this will allow us, the staff, to continue to work with the OSP team to finalize the last minute changes and then make the document ADA accessible and ready for our website posting. Thank you very much.
Do any commissioners have questions? Commissioner Lopez.
Hi, Gia. Just wanted to thank you for being so quick to respond with Assemblymember Cooley's questions the other day. We took a look at the commercial property owner's guide together, and he's very happy and satisfied with how it looks. And wanted to again thank you for your feedback.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to add on to that because I saw Assemblymember Cooley last evening here in Sacramento, and he took the time to mention it to me. So please pass him my regards and his thanks for his comments. To have an assembly member directly look at the work of the commission is really impressive and demonstrates his dedication to the work that we do.
Will do. Thank you.
Commissioner Garnes.
I just wanted to thank you and the staff for all the work that you put into it. It's a very, very good document, and I think that the commission can take pride in putting it out, and it was your work and the staff's work that actually made it happen. So thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Garnes.
Commissioner Nazar.
I just wanted to thank Ja and for all of her collaboration with our team here at Cal OES and our partners, because that ensures that the document that the commission prepares is consistent and complementary to all the other documents that we have out there. And it's really important in the seismic space. There's a lot of confusion because it's not, thankfully, an event that happens all the time, like wildfire. And it's when it happens, it will be regional or statewide in its impact, and having all of this guidance that is complementary is really important to the public. So I just want to thank John and her very collaborative and fun and inviting personality that it makes its way into this document.
Thank you.
Other commissioners. So I'm going to bring it back to you, Ja. Do you have what you need to move forward? And if so, I will ask for a motion after you answer that question.
Yes, I believe I have.
Then I will entertain a motion to approve the final draft of the Commercial Property Owner's Guide to Earthquake Safety with the amendments.
I'll make a motion.
That were proposed. We have a motion
Sorry.
from Commissioner
A
Garnes.
motion, Commissioner Garnes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Lopez. If there's no further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote at this point.
Okay. Chairman Silva.
Aye.
Commissioner Cooley, represented by Nestor Lopez.
Aye.
Commissioner Clare, represented by Diane Gould.
Aye.
Commissioner Garnes.
Aye.
Commissioner Garaducci, represented by Lori Nazara.
Aye.
Commissioner Rabbit.
Aye.
Commissioner Swayze.
I know he was having technical issues, so he's trying to jump back on the call. Commissioner Tran.
Aye.
And that's unanimous vote to pass for the final version of the COG.
Thank you very much. And I really want to take the time to thank staff for your work on this, Jaw in particular, but also Selena and Tanya, because I know you're backing up Jaw and helping her navigate some of the complexities of state government and how to produce a document like this. And I'd also like to thank Andy Tran and Lori Nazera and Cal OES, as well as, even though he's not here, former chair Miyamoto reviewed the document from a seismic structural engineer perspective. So thank you to all of you for making this happen so expeditiously. And John, fabulous job.
Very much. Thank you very much, commissioners.
So now I need to turn it
I
back.
second that one too.
We'll make a motion on that. John, do you have some other updates you'd like to give us at this time?
Yes, I'd like to update commissioners on the UCSD shake table test. So the project got delayed because of the shake table calibration. However, it's up and running, and then staff will send you a link on the current test that they are doing. Apparently, there are 2 tests ahead of us. So the real test our test will start May or June next year. So yeah, the structural design of the building, it has been completed, and now they are finalized the non-structural component bracing. And then Professor Hutchinson is very busy with other projects. So it seems like the delay also opens the opportunity for her to bring on new partners as well. So we will keep the commissioner updated. Thank you.
Any questions for John? So we look forward to getting more updates on that as we get closer to next May or June. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
The next item on the agenda are miscellaneous announcements. Do we have any, Acting Director?
Yes, we do. Just wanted to go over a few things. I wanted to give the commissioners an update. Before I give that update, I wanted to let Commissioner Garnes know that let staff know if there's anything that we can do to help coordinate any requests that you have for Janelle, the CEA, and their team to provide what you need as far as the brace and bolt program. Let us help you connect if that's something you want us to do for your city. Also, I wanted to double back after having that great presentation about international delegates and protocols and policies and procedures. I think what might be helpful is possibly at the next commission meeting, I can get somebody from the Cal OES's PIO team, Brian Ferguson, who is the Deputy Director over communications. Typically what happens is, I know Commissioner Swice had said, when he meets with other entities, he wants to talk about earthquake early warning or give a presentation on anything that the commission is doing, or, the state in the realm of seismic safety. Typically as staff, I can vet those talking points for you through the PIO team so that everything is cohesive and sound. And if there is any red flags that they may see, they can help us navigate that. I do it I send my talking points over, for instance, when JAW meets with organizations talking about our property owners guides or publications. We vet our talking points through the comms unit within OES. So again, so that we are all on the same team, there is one messaging. And so again, I will try to work on possibly getting a communications briefing for the entire commission at the next commission meeting. Okay, moving on. So a quick update on the recruitment of the executive director, which I am extremely excited for. We had the filing for applications closed last week. So at this point, staff and I, Tanya and I, will be working with Cal OES's HR team and our personal liaison, working on the next phase of the recruitment process, which is now going to consist of application screening and setting up interview selections. This process we will coordinate with Cal OES's executive leadership team and the HR unit within Cal OES, and seek their guidance and collaboration. Time-wise, we are, again, state government. We are probably anywhere from, and this is just being, if everything hits the mark the way it should, 45 to 60 days before we would start interviews. But that's just kind of, a roundabout number. There's a lot of things, again, state government is very tricky to maneuver through, but Cal OES is, our partners within Cal OES, our personnel liaisons have been incredibly helpful and guiding us through this process. So it is, again, a team effort. And so I just want to let you know that we do have plenty of applications. So I think that is well said about interested parties that want to be a part of our team and lead us into the next phase of the commission. So I will hopefully have another update at the July meeting for the commission. Other than that, legislatively, the May revise will be released tomorrow, the governor's May revise. Be on the lookout for that. I could, what I plan to do is send out the May revise, maybe a quick update on what it consists of to all commissioners. So you guys are just involved in what may be coming, for the next, coming down the legislative pipe for the remaining of the legislative season in terms of budget. I don't anticipate anything to affect the commission allocation directly. Again, remember, we are part of the insurance fund, and through assessments, that is how we are funded. But look for an email from me giving you a brief update on the May revise, probably sometime over the weekend. And with that, I will turn it over to Tanya. She has a little bit more of our housekeeping items.
Thank you, Acting Director Valencia, for that update. I only have 2 items. Hopefully they'll go quickly. So I reached out to all of you guys, and I want to thank everybody who responded very promptly regarding moving our July meeting and potential dates that we're going to switch that to. That being July 7th and the 21st. So I have majority of the responses. I'm still collecting a couple, so I might follow up with you. You might get an email from me today. I'm working with our facilities point of contact to reserve an as well. So we are coordinating with the team in order to facilitate that for our July meeting. So once I'm able to lock down that date, I will be sending you guys an update and a meeting invite with all the information applicable to this next meeting. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I think Selena has a comment as well.
Yes, sorry. Yes, Tanya, thank you. She's been working really hard in the logistic portion. But just to be clear, those 2 dates are open, the 7th and the 21st. So it will be in person on either one of those dates with a virtual option. And again, a lot of the logistics, they will be COVID protocols. So again, all of that will be formatted in an email information. So you will know what is to be expected. And it will be open to the public in person as well. So, so just to note that.
Could we get a little clarification? When we were meeting in person before COVID, our meetings started at 10 a.m. because it allowed for those who are coming from afar to actually get to Sacramento. Are we shifting the start time as a result of this meeting? So in order to accommodate day of travel schedules and not incur costs for overnight stays?
I think that's something that we definitely should take into consideration now that the location is going to be at Cal OES headquarters, which is in Mather, California, which is right around the Rancho Cordova area. So if that's something that we would like to discuss. I would, take any suggestions as, proposed times. So we can actually look at that. But we do have the reservation for those 2 dates, for the 7th and 21st.
Chairwoman Silva, could we discuss that now? So since she is working with the logistics, if we're going to move the time, please. Yeah, is there, are there any thoughts about moving the time to, instead of a 9 a.m. start time, a 10 a.m. start time? I think
I agree with the chair. 10 is probably more convenient for everybody.
It is pretty hard to get around the state of California right now. I mean,
Yes.
there are not as many flights as there used to be, and every flight is very full, and TSA lines aren't. I was in a flight on Monday morning and people were pounding on doors because they got held up in the TSA lines and they couldn't, they were missing flights. So I think we need to be cognizant of that. And we need to decide quickly so people can get the reservations that they need. But I would suggest 10 or possibly 10:30 because the distance coming from Sacramento Airport to downtown, the capital, is much faster than getting all the way to Mather and through the security protocols at Mather.
Okay. I think Representative Gould has a question, her hand raised.
I can't see if.
Thank you. I think because I'm an alternate, I might not have seen that survey you sent out, Tanya. You probably sent it to Ida, and maybe she didn't think to forward it to me. But I would not be able to attend on the 21st date either virtually. I'm going to be in Washington D.C. So not that the meeting needs to revolve around me, but we would, and Ida would not be able, so we wouldn't have our DSA representation that day. So just wanted to note that.
Thank you.
She did reach out to me actually, and she mentioned that she's available on the 7th, but that you potentially would be available on the 7th or the 21st. So
yeah, she probably doesn't know about my trip because I sent it to my supervisor, so she probably didn't know about that. So
no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you for updating me on that.
Sure.
I see. John, is your hand raised? Any other commissioners have comments or questions?
I would say I would concur with a late start because there's always a scramble for me from California to get into the capital. Like squeeze, barely make it.
Representative Lopez, did you have a question?
I just wanted to let Tanya know that I'm working on getting you an answer. I've just got to double check with Mr. Cooley's scheduler.
No problem. No problem. Thank you.
Would be in his district, I think.
It is our district. It is close by for him, and it is during our recess. So, but I need to confirm which date works out best.
Perfect. So if I'm hearing correctly, 10:30 would be our start time. So essentially that would push us back if it was a full meeting, which we normally go from 9 a.m. to 12. We would be working through a lunchtime block here. So that would be like 10:30 to 1:30. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. So 10:30 to 1:30. Okay.
We'll be efficient.
And again, we'll be there obviously ahead of time to set up at the facility. And I definitely will give you guys all the protocol once we finalize everything that's needed. But what I've heard at this point is that they will be doing on-site rapid testing that you administer yourself, and then they get the results fairly quickly. So no news is good news is what they've told me before. So try to plan on getting there at least, I would say 30 minutes ahead of time. So that way you have enough time to then obviously get the results. Okay. So if there are any other comments, what kind of waivers over into that is, I, at the last meeting, was providing you updates regarding your per diem requests. And we were still facilitating some updates with the RPAs in order to pay commissioners for their per diems. Previously, I had been giving those after the meeting because sometimes we usually get, presentations that people want, distributed But moving forward, I just want to let you know that I'll be adding the per diem to the materials when I send them out. So that way you guys have that ahead of time. But just for future information, the per diems that I've given you before that form, you can redo it each time for each month or each meeting that we attend or you attend. You can just update that and send that over to me, and I keep that on my end. And then once I receive it, I will be sending it off to our point person, I believe Erin Henkel, and she goes ahead and processes the per diem request for you, and then you'll get it sent to you. So I know Chairman Silva, you receive that and usually get your requests fairly timely, but sometimes, it can take a couple weeks or so after the meeting. So other than that, I think those are all my updates, unless there are any additional questions regarding the per diem or the next meeting.
Any questions for Commissioner Suis?
I have a question. Actually, I had a technical problem and I lost connection during the presentation by Gia. Is there anything, I remember last meeting, I asked if there are any projects that staff or the commission could explore or look into, in the future. And I don't know if there was a discussion on that or not. Maybe Gia can.
Yes, Commissioner.
Commissioner Swise, I appreciate that you lost connection. What I want to do is finish this item on the agenda, and then we'll go back to your question. So,
okay, all right. I thought it was open for questions, but go ahead, please.
Commissioner Garnes, did you have questions about this item, which were the miscellaneous business of the commission?
Yes, I just wanted to, with regard to the per diem thing, is that, and really it just came up after you mentioned Chair Silva. So for the new commissioners, is that still, is that going to at some point happen?
Yeah, we're pretty much finalizing that. Yeah, definitely, which it's been like a process, and I appreciate the patience for all the new commissioners. We're pretty much at the end of it. I'm assuming I'm working with them and I've provided them any additional dates that they needed. So once I get that information back from them, I will reach out to you and let you know. How's that sound?
And Commissioner Barnes, just to give you a little context, when she says providing information, the way, because we are a state entity, you have to be processed as almost like a state employee for payment. So they have to key you into a financial system in order to generate your per diem stipend. So it's just a key. We use the word keying process. And so, yes, I believe we had a meeting earlier this week. It's our understanding that on our end as commission staff and yours as a commissioner, there's nothing else we need to do. It's just a matter of getting you keyed into the system. So, yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then that $100 less your tax withholding will be on its way. Other questions on the miscellaneous announcements? And as always, thank you to staff, because there is a lot of work and it has been particularly difficult to do all this with COVID and the transition from our former agency into Cal OES and the rules and the processes and protocols. Now, Commissioner Spice, did you have a question for? Or I think, Jai, if you understand the question, maybe you can answer where we are.
Yes, Commissioner Weiss, we appreciate your question. After you raised the issue last time, Selena and I, we had to discuss about it, and we have some ideas. Right now, two of us, we're working on a white paper on the subject of trying to quantify the earthquake the economic impact of earthquake on our California communities, especially socially vulnerable communities, because this seems to be a subject the Commission care about, OES care about, by the backup by the Prepare California grant. And then, so that's, it's in the work, and then we're gonna go through the internal routing process, and then when it's ready, we'll send it to the Commission for your review and comments and receive feedbacks, and then hopefully we can, I need to check in with Selena and the timeline, hopefully in two weeks or by the end of this month to send it to you by email and then get feedback. And then if the idea is being if the feedback is positive, staff can put in more time, and then to hopefully bring a formal presentation or even proposal in your July meeting. That's the idea, and then so we'll move with urgency. I know that we thank you for your approval for COG, and we free some staff time that we can think about the next step. And then, as I said, we're going to follow up with you all on this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you, John. Next item is public comment. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address us at this time? Tanya, we're going to be relying on you to see who might be in the audience.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any, and nor did I receive any ahead of time. So unless somebody speaks up, I think we're good on my end.
All right, thank you all very much. And the last item is adjournment. Thank you to all of you for being here this morning. And we look forward to seeing you in person in July, either the 7th or the 21st, date to be finalized by staff, and we will be informed soon. I know that. So have a good day. And Cal OES.
Commissioner Silva.
Yes.
Yeah, are you in Sacramento?
Yes, I'm in the same hotel you are, I think.
Okay, then I will see you. I will see you. I was just checking. Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right. Cal OES, do the great work you do to help us with that wildfire in Southern California. And with that, we'll see you in the July meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.